Namaskar, good morning, and welcome back to our channel VLSI for All, a hub for technical education and an epicenter for affordable VLSI coaching in India. Today, we are indeed proud and honored to have with us Mr. Sakya Chakrabarti, who is currently working as a GPU design engineer at Apple. Sakya is currently pursuing his master's in electrical and electronic engineers at Penn State University. He has previous industrial experience as an SoC design engineer at Intel Corporation, Bengaluru. Thank you, sir, for doing this interview with us. Sir, with your kind permission, can we start the interview?
Yes, sure.
Sakya, can you please introduce yourself in more detail so that our audience can take inspiration from you and your profile?
I was an SoC design engineer at Intel. So after I finished my undergrad, I joined Intel. So first I started my internship as an undergrad intern at Intel Corporation, Bangalore. And then I worked there as a full-time employee for a couple of years before starting to pursue my master's at Penn State. And during my master's at Penn State, I did an internship, an RTL design internship in the last summer at NXP in Austin. And after my graduation last December, I have currently joined as a GPU design engineer at Apple. So that would be like a brief introduction about me. And my background at Penn State, my research has been mostly focused on devices. So basically transistors and devices, making circuits out of 2D material-based devices is what I have worked on. So that's a bit different from my professional background, but that's something I explored.
Yeah, thank you, Sakya. Moving on. So how did you manage your coursework and research at your master's level, and what is the best possible way to strike a balance between two, as the graduate life can be quite hectic?
Definitely graduate life is hectic, but at the same time, I would say that it depends upon person to person how they basically balance it out. For me especially, I would say that like before even I started my master's, the first thing every master student, whoever wants to pursue a master's or an MS in US what they should target is that what I have seen a lot of people not do is that even before joining for their masters, they should start mailing the professors in the university to which they're joining. They should start emailing the professors under whom they want to pursue their master's thesis, or let's say even the paper option or anything. So with whomever your research interests align. So the thing is that if you do that beforehand, then I've seen a lot of master students, they spend a lot of time in the first semester coming, then doing the coursework, and then ultimately then finding out the faculty under whom they would pursue their thesis, etc. So that is exactly like where you are losing out 3 or 4 months of your semester on finding out a guide, which you can do. I would say which you can do earlier. There's like Google Scholar profiles where you can see their research. You can find out what they have published, and if their research interests align with yours, then you can just directly shoot out a mail to them, give with your transcript, like your undergrad transcript and your CV, telling that, hey, dear professor, these are the research interests which I see, which you have worked on, and these are the things which I also want to pursue my research on. Would you be interested to take me in your lab? Like I would be, maybe they won't take you in your lab immediately. They would see how you work in their lab, but ultimately then if it works out, it works out, So you basically, you can start early. For me, when I joined in last fall, that is when I started my research. From like a week after I even landed in the US, I started my work for my master's thesis. So that is what it is. And definitely course work will always be there. That would always be there for you to complete. There's nothing to do with that. But that is what I would say. You have to start early.
Yeah. Okay, sir, how did you grow your interest in the electronics and communication engineering background? Because as most of the youngsters, they move to the computer science background. So how did you stick on to your bachelor's core?
Well, that is something I would say depends on person to person, you know. So even from my undergrad, I never really wanted to go into software engineering. So electronics is something which I liked, I would say. And definitely a lot of people want to go into software in this manner, like in this particular topic. I would like to say is that like many of the students who do their undergrad on like electronics, they shift for their masters in computer science. I would say a lot of this depends upon the peer pressure which happens in India, that like definitely like software will give you like better opportunities, better job opportunities, better money in some instances. But then again, I would like to say that yeah, definitely money would be there everywhere, but you have to decide what you want to do. And if your passion is in electronics, then go for it. If your passion is in, let's say, if you're a mechanical engineer, if you want to pursue that mechanical engineering, if you're good in that, it's very simple. If you are good at something, nobody can like take out the opportunity away from you. So if you are good in electronics, there's no point of doing some like C++ programming or Python for that. Like if you're really good at that, if you're passionate about programming, if you're passionate about like, let's say, competitive programming, lead code and everything, go for that. Definitely. That's your choice, and that's your field then. But if you're good in electronics, then why not just stick to it? And definitely another thing with that is that a lot of people which they don't understand that is that like, as if if you know, Sundar Pichai has, there's a quote which is said by him and many before him, that hardware is hard. It is so hardware is hard is a reason because like it's a very complex and time taking process. Hardware engineering is time taking. Making a chip in itself is time taking. And at the same time, I would say that like the skills which is required in the hardware industry, be it like front end, be it back end or anything, uh, that builds over time. That is cumulative. A coding, I would say coding prowess, you are doing like some competitive programming. I would say that like anybody who is good in programming can hone it up in a very short time. The cadence time for honing it up is very short. But let's say half of the people, like if they want to come from undergrad to the VLSI industry, many of them even don't know that what questions they are going to face in the interview, right? That's always there. So definitely like that's the reason why there's a gray area, and they've definitely like that's the reason probably why a lot of people shift to software, because you know resources are aplenty. That is also the case. Yeah, so
Yes,
all these
sir.
factors are there. Yeah.
Exactly. That is very true, sir.
Mm.
So moving on, how was your experience at the at Bengaluru while you're working at as a SOC engineer, and how did you immediately join it after bachelor's? Because most of them join as an intern in their master's. And like, what was your preparation strategy back then?
Well, it was nothing very like I wouldn't say that there wasn't anything exceptional in the preparation strategy. I was like many other undergrads, I was also like doing my like bachelor's BTech, and I was also learning the same thing which I guess all over India people learn, like digital analog, then digital communication, analog communication. And I would just say here that like companies, if they hire for an undergrad, like Intel came to my undergrad university at I'm from like I did my undergrad from Techno India in West Bengal, and they came to my campus for hiring interns. Definitely like for undergrads, it will definitely first be an internship, and then it will be like if your performance matches their expectation, they would give you a full-time offer. So they gave me so they came for an internship position, and the internship was like a 1-year internship. So for us during that time, so I would say that here my undergrad like undergrad college, their support was also there, that they provided me the opportunity to go to Bangalore for at least a whole year. At the same time, I could give my like my 7th and 8th semester parallelly. So that opportunity was there. And secondly, what I would say is that these companies, like when they would be hiring an undergrad as an intern, their expectations won't be that, like, let's say you would be knowing the like the basics of static timing analysis or something which is taught in a VLSI masters. They won't be asking you those things. They would be asking very very rudimentary things like, let's say, basic flop logic, like how would you design a flop. They would be asking questions from basic analog digital communication, the things which you have learned in your undergrad, basically. I was even asked questions from Star Delta network. So that's, if you remember, that's something which we are taught in the first 2 semesters. So yeah, I wouldn't say that like anything is asked from the master's level. Some 1 or 2 questions may be there about digital, like which you can answer like definitely from your basic knowledge. But I wouldn't say that like there was anything exceptionally hard regarding master's level knowledge which you would need for cracking the interview. That was not the case. So yeah, that's what I would say. Like, focus on what you are studying, and if you get the opportunity. And another thing which I would like to mention for a lot of undergrads is that don't hesitate to create a LinkedIn profile. A lot of undergrads, which they don't understand, is the power of LinkedIn. Create a LinkedIn profile, approach talent acquisition leads of the companies that, hey, I'm in my third year, like I'm doing my 6th semester. I want to do an internship. Do you have any opportunity like undergrad opportunities in hardware? It may be like they may not have an idea if they want to go into like physical design or front end RTL or micro architecture. They may not know, but at least, hey, you can get something, right? And you can get an experience, an industrial experience, if you want to join. And who knows, it may get converted to a full time. So these are the things also which is there. Like, you need to network also. That helps. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Satya. And moving on to next question, next obvious question. After working here at the Bangalore for Intel, like why did you decide to pursue a master's in the US? Like what made you think so?
Well, yes, I always wanted to pursue, like, I always wanted to have a master's. Like, definitely that was always there. And why US, I would specifically say, is that there are a lot of things which boil down to the fact that why US. First of all, the research infrastructure, the practical research infrastructure which is there, it is definitely better in the US. There's no doubt about that. Like, let's say the research area in which I worked on, like fabrication of 2D material based, like the channel which is made up of transition metal dichalcogenides and everything, definitely that's present in India, but only in maybe like 2 or 3 institutes. That's always the case. So the research opportunities in US are a plenty, and you would be like getting hands-on experience on that. So that's always there. And the second thing is that, let's say, if a person wants to pursue their masters in India, uh, so the first thing is that definitely an economic thing is there. If you want to go and pursue a master's in the US, it's definitely cost intensive. That is always there. And the second part, which is a downside, I would say, in India, is that like for a master's, like getting into an MTech in India in any reputed institute, you have to go through GATE. And it's like a mini, it has now become like a mini UPSC where people are like struggling to get a rank for 2 3 years. And honestly speaking, I think that this archaic system in India should change. Like, a competitive exam which is held once in a year. Imagine if you have become sick just 2 days before the examination, you have become sick, and your 1 year of whole studies goes to waste. So one day can't decide your future for the like next year, right? And the second thing is that the whole system of like entrance based exam system in India is based on rote learning. Rote learning definitely is needed up to some extent, but you can't just expect rote learning to like get you like everything, like even for the future whatever you'd be doing. Rote learning is not what's going to work. And India, I felt this, like, definitely this difference between US and India is that India focuses a lot on rote learning, and in US, even if you check the coursework and everything, it's not basically based upon your exams at all. It's based upon a lot of things: your final project presentations, your assignments, and the exam maybe has a 30% weightage in the whole course in that. So the what the US system I like about is that it's a very holistic system. And the Indian system, which I find out, is that it's very, first of all, there's a huge bottleneck. If you want to enter any good institute, GATE examination, it's a bottleneck, as simple as that. A lot of good students, like, honestly speaking, they don't get the opportunity to go into there just because of this bottleneck system, right? And at the end of the day, you have to do rote learning. If you, like, let's say, if you prepare for an engineering science examination, ESC exam, or a GATE examination, you have to continuously do the same type of problems. Like, let's say, I still remember like a lot of problems like on control systems, like Rao-Hurwitz criterion and everything, all those systems. There are some common problems which you have to go through, right? So that's rote learning. So that is something which I don't prefer, and I have never preferred that. And that is one of the reasons, one of the big reasons. Like, first reason is definitely the funding and the research infrastructure, which is practical research infrastructure, which is better in the US. And the second thing is this.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
While going through your profile, I've come across that you have a very good like mentor as you work under Professor Saptarishi Das. Like, can you please explain what is the role of a guide in pursuing masters?
Yeah, definitely. For a master's, even not just a master's, I will also tell this for PhD students, because in Dr. Das's group, like where I did my thesis on, like most of the students are PhD students. So PhD student or a master's thesis student, a guide is basically your academic father. Like that's how it is. So he would support you, he would guide you not just with your research, how you would be like the courseworks which you would be taking, and then like how basically they will help you how to steer your path through your master's journey or your PhD journey. So definitely, like, the role of a guide is very essential. Then the second thing is that their support is what would make you learn and get the exposure what you like, whichever you intend or desire to get. Like for me, for instance, like the part, there were many research areas in which in Dr. Das's lab research happened. I particularly focused on making particular like circuits for neuromorphic application and hardware security applications based on my particular like previous background. So definitely my advisor chose those like particular domains in which I would do research on, because he saw that my interests were there. So that is always there. Like, it's like and in your academic journey, definitely your advisor is your academic father. That is what we say. So yeah. So definitely,
Yeah.
like an advisor is he's a part of your journey in your academic life, I would say. Yeah.
So moving on, as I've seen that you have like made many projects while you were at your undergrad and while at masters also. Like, can you please explain like what was your favorite project you have worked on?
Well, I would say that, so my first project, like my project, if you say, definitely the first one is always your, like the one which you would definitely love and cherish. So it's basically a paper which I did in my second year probably. It's on like RSA encryption, and it was a conference publication, but that is like more to my heart because it was the first publication which I had, and that too in my, I still remember that I went for like presenting it in presenting it during my fourth semester probably. And the second, like maybe their impact factors and everything are not that great, but hey, it's something which you did in the beginning of your academic career, right? And the second thing is like a paper, like basically a IoT based voting machine system project on which I worked on. I secured the first prize for that in the paper presentation in IIT Kharagpur. That was also like something which I would cherish, because I still remember that like that particular project, a lot of people from a lot of different parts of India participated in that paper presentation. So getting a first position out of that, when your project gets the first position, it is definitely more close to your heart. So yeah, I would say those definitely.
Exactly. I can relate it to your experiences because I too had a similar experience. When my paper got published at IIT Kanpur in the VLSI domain, and when and the second instance that when like stood first in the national robotics competition at IIT Bombay. Though I'm not from any IIT or NIT, I'm from a normal college from Hyderabad, but still we were able to go there and present it and win there. That was really
exactly. You feel
exactly.
You feel great. Definitely, you feel great. That's a that's something like that's a I would say that's an overworldly feeling which you get, and definitely during an undergrad, it gives you a lot of boost in your morale. I would definitely
Exactly.
say, and just keep that with you.
Yeah, sure, sir,
If
sure.
you feel that you are on the right path, just keep that with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on, sir, like how do you get like find ideas to like various projects in publication? Like, is your paper publication a part of your project, or is it like a two separate things?
Well, I would say that like paper publication would happen when you would be thinking on a research problem. So for thinking on a research problem or getting the idea of research problem, you have to go and do literature survey. So that is a part and parcel. Once you do literature survey, that is when you would get ideas on what particular domain you would want to have your project on and essentially have your publication on, because ultimately just projects, like if you see for my case, I haven't in specific, like many students just do projects based on Arduino and such. Like definitely that is, I would say definitely that there's no harm doing that. But I would say also along with that, when you target a project, think about the publication which you would do, because I would say that like the academia as well as industry, both of them see that if you have a publication, it means that, so see, a project can be peer reviewed, cannot be peer reviewed. But if you have a publication, it's understandable that it's peer reviewed and accepted by someone at least, right? So I would say that's the process. You first do literature survey, think about a research problem, then you focus on doing a project or the work related to it, so that it gets into a publication to get it peer reviewed. So yeah, that would be the process.
Yes, Sakyam. So moving on to the most important and like frequently asked question, like what sort of preparation is required to get to the technical screen and on-site for the front-end design roles in the USA?
So basically what I would say is that for US or for India, things are a bit different in India, because if you check the VLSI industry in India is more focused on physical design. I don't take it quote unquote per se, but that is what I have particularly found, that in India, verification roles are there in US also and in India also. But front-end design roles, especially let's say micro architecture, architecture modeling, RTL design, logic design, these type of extreme front-end roles are quite less in India. It's not that they're non-existent, just that they're less. So that's the first thing which we have to make it clear. The second thing is that what are the type of questions and where you can prepare from, and what are the topics which you have to go through for front end. So in US, I would say the first thing is that like a lot of our viewers, if they are like freshers, they won't understand, but they may like check from the keywords which I'm saying. So the first thing is that definitely you need to know RTL, Verilog. That's Verilog is essential. You have to know that. So basic logic design, basic logic blocks design. I can't just like tell one by one, like there are multiple blocks. Here I can say for the viewers, they can go to specific sites which I have found very useful. Like there is a particular very unknown site, but it's very comprehensive. Like probably the name is like fpgascpu.ca. Okay. And then there is another site which is Sunburst Design. And there are a lot of good papers, like in front end, one of those apart from logic design, there are particular front-end checks which you do, like clock domain crossing, reset domain crossing, CDC, RDC checks. So for those, you have to have some idea. Let's say for CDC, the basic idea is like why metastability happens. What are the different type of ways by which you can remove metastability, like a two flip-flop synchronizer, like a handshake synchronizer, like an async FIFO. So these things you would get in Sunburst design papers. Like those are like some of the Snug Boston papers which are there from 2008, 2007. These are canonical. Like irrespective of the industry, whoever wants to go into front end, they have to go through these things before the interview. And apart from that,
particular block designs. Like let's say if someone tells you to design a round robin arbiter, right? Or a skid buffer. So those things you would find it available in fpgacpu.ca, that particular site. You have to go through the different places. You would find like a ton of things. I'm honestly telling, I'm not giving an advertisement here. I don't even know who has created those websites, but I have found them during my interview preparation very useful. May that be while I was in India or while I was in the US. Now, the second thing which is there is that in India, there is another thing different from these particular parts. In India, after that, they would ask you some questions from static timing. You can refer to say, STA books are there like Jairam Bhaskar and something. Those books are there. You can definitely go through them. But the main idea for STA is that you have to know like setup, hold, violation, what those things are. That's very crucial. That those things the basic things you need to know. And then in India, things go a bit into physical design perspective. Now that is something which I haven't worked on specifically, but they do ask questions on that also sometimes. But in US, particularly what I have seen is that a lot of questions do come from computer architecture. Like let's say pipelining, right? Then different questions on how you can optimize logic. Let's say you have mux, and after that, like different types of ways by which you can do the PPA analysis, like power and performance, how can you reduce that, and those type of things. So architectural questions are definitely more there. Like let's say in FSM, like Moissy logic, Moissy, these type of like then cache coherence protocols. These type of questions do come a lot in front-end design roles, and even like microarchitectural questions will definitely be there in front-end roles. So that is there in the US. So get those ideas clear. If you want the books which are there like Patterson, Hennessy, you can go through those books. And then for logic design books, I would suggest like go through those websites. And for logic design, if you want like digital logic design, you can go through West Harris. It's a good book. West Harris is a very good book. So yeah, these are the things which you do. I definitely say that you have a good shot at going through the on-sites and virtual on-sites, or even if it's a in-person on-site and the technical skills.
Yes, sir. Moving to the next question. Like what I have heard here is that there's a procedure of hiring in the US while pursuing masters, is that because we are like when we want to apply for an like job profile or an intern position, we need to apply it like 1 year before or 1 semester before we actually join the company. How far is it true?
It is true. So the more you start early, the better it is. So let's say I joined for my master's in fall 2021. So my master started in August, and while I was doing whatever my master's thesis research, my coursework, I already started looking for my internship from September in itself. So I started looking from September, then I gave my interviews probably, and so that's the timeline. So let's say the summer internship starts in May. So it would start in May 2022, but I have started looking for the internship from September 2021. So the interviews you give around like, let's say December end 2022 is holidays during that time. Let's say you apply before that. Like mostly you can give interviews before that, but I would say that some people definitely they get hired during October, November itself. So for my case, it happened like for everything I just applied through LinkedIn and career pages. So that definitely works if you up like in some cases hiring managers they post job openings and everything. For my case, my internship at NXP, it was just like my hiring manager directly posted a job opening for an NC. He posted a full-time NCG rec. So from that, I understood that maybe he can also want an intern, summer intern. So I just pinged him that, hey, I see you have posted an NCG rec. I want to do an internship. Do you have any openings or such? Then he immediately provided me the opening for the for a summer internship, and I applied. I remember it was like fairly fast after that. Like I applied in January first week, maybe in the Tuesday I applied, on Wednesday or Thursday I gave the interview, and by Thursday evening I had the offer letter in my hand. So it's fast. It's fast, and it happens. Definitely, it happens quite early. For Apple, in such case, for Apple's case, I was doing my internships. While I was doing my internship in summer, I was looking for different full-time opportunities also. Like, definitely, why not? Why not look into other opportunities also? So I remember the whole of my time when I was in Austin, I kept on giving different interviews while I was doing my internship. Yeah, definitely, you have to do multitasking. You can't. That's the first thing. There's no way in which you can slog off, and there's no way in which there's no way in which you won't hustle and you would get the fruit. You have to hustle. That's simple as that. Hustle is always there. So during my internship in July of 2022, I gave my full-time interviews, and by August, I had my full-time offer, which I joined like last week. So definitely it happens like not a year, I would say, but definitely 6-7 months before things get wrapped up.
Yeah. So one more question pertaining to the masters in job one. Is a student at a disadvantage when he joins at fall instead of spring, or vice versa? For the job opportunities,
It is not job opportunity, but definitely I would say it's related to something related to the rule of employment and visa. So let's say if you come in fall, there's a rule that you can't do a CPT. You can't do your CPT if you don't finish 9 months in the US on your F1 status, right? So let's say if you come instead of fall, you come for spring, right? So you join in Jan, and then you miss out the summer internship just because you have been in the US for like say 5 months. So then in that case, you do have an option of doing a fall co-op, right? Because by that time, 9 months would have gone by. You start in September to December, but then a lot of it depends if you want to lose out on that semester in itself, because you won't be a full-time student. You would have to do part-time. You would have to do some coursework, like you have to take. There's something called as a reduced course load. You have to take that, and then your supervisor needs to approve that, and even your university needs to approve that. In some cases, like let's say some universities are very flexible about that, but in some cases, some universities are not very willing. About summer internships, nobody can like say no, but for co-ops, some universities are definitely very flexible, some are not. So then you fall into the picture that okay, so I came in spring, I want a summer like I want an internship experience, but I have to somehow like manage through it, right? So that's the basic, I would say that's the basic disadvantage which I see. Definitely people, if you want to do it, you can do it anyway in like a co-op or something, but that's the major disadvantage. It's not about the semester per se, it's about that thing regarding the employment thing, which creates a kind of barrier, I would say. So that's it.
okay. So moving on to the next one, sir. What are the future with career plans, if I may ask so?
Well, that is something which honestly, like that is something which I have to ponder upon, and I have to explore that myself. I am not sure what my future research, like my future career plan and everything. Definitely, like now I have started at Apple. I would definitely delve into like my work there and everything, and then the future will behold in itself. That is what I would say. Whatever comes would come.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, sir. So we have come to the end of our interview, sir. It was indeed great talking to you. As an engineer in my final semester, I feel that many jigsaw puzzles in my mind have been clarified, sir. Hope to see you on yet another episode on our YouTube channel. Until then, goodbye, study hard, and take care. Signing off, this is Anurag. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.